Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this next exciting episode. I'm so excited about our special guest for today, but I want to take a moment to thank each and every viewer, subscriber, every like, every share. We appreciate it greatly. And as you know, our purpose here at Exceptional Living is to inform, to inspire, and to ignite the greatness that lies in you. And so thank you on behalf of our entire company and myself for being supportive of that and sharing. As you know, each and every session we bring to you global change agents and thought leaders that have, through their industry and their careers, in their discovery of purpose and self, and how to make a significant impact in the world through their contribution to help us to better our lives and to be inspired. So I am excited. Our very special guest today is certainly one that knows it in a world where one is conditioned to just fit in. She has stood out. Christianne Elcock is our very special guest today. She is the CEO of the Family Focused Broadcasting Network, Isaac 98.1 FM. She is also a vice chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association. In 2018, she completed her IMBA at Arthur Locke Jack Graduate School of Business in Trinidad and attained a law degree in 2013 at the University of Kent in England. In addition to her academic qualifications, she is a musician, singer, and writer of gospel music. She released her first single in 2015 called Just Look at To Me, followed by I Am Yours. In 2018, she released another single, All I Need. And in 2020, her first music video entitled You Are Love. Christianne aims to continue walking in the purpose that God has for her life. And I will tell you, I met this beautiful, intelligent, classy, compassionate, and graceful young lady in Nassau, Bahamas in 2014. So, Exceptional Living, please help me welcome our very special guest, Ms. Christianne Elcock. Hi, Christianne.
Hi, what a lovely introduction. So good to be here.
Oh, thank you. It's you. So of course it's lovely. It is, I remember meeting you. You were with your mom, coming from Trinidad and Tobago, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is so cool. And it's like, oh, we're into media. I was like, tell me more. And I actually went to a session at that conference to hear your mom. And even then, she was talking about the power of media. So you are in this space, Christianne. So talk to us. How did you get involved? How did you start this path?
Wow. Well, my desire was never to be in media, right? Surprisingly, I developed a passion for law. My dad is a lawyer. My grandfather was a lawyer. So I think they sort of subconsciously influenced me. And so as you would have read, I studied law in England. And so that was my whole focus and passion. But on the side, I had this passion for music as well. So I grew up playing the drums, singing in choirs at school and church. So even when I was at university, I joined the worship team and I joined the performing arts team. And, I used to be very involved in music while studying law. And so when I graduated, I was trying to figure out what area of law to go into. And then I thought, why not combine my two passions, music and law, and do entertainment law. And so I went to visit, a guy who mentors the young law students. And so when I told him I was interested in entertainment law, he told me, well, why don't you get some experience in media and make sure that that's something you want to do? And then he obviously looked me up, right, before I came to see him. And he said, I realize your mother runs a radio station, so why don't you work with her? Now, I was talking to him in England, and he was telling me to go and work with her in Trinidad. And I was like, what? I wanted to stay in England and, spend some time there and travel and get experience. But, God always has other plans. And so in the end, I decided to go back to Trinidad, and I worked at the radio station from 2014 to this day. And well, I mean, yes, you're wondering, okay, what happened with the law and the entertainment law? So I eventually decided to do my MBA, right? I kind of always wanted to do business as well. So there was actually an option where I could have done um, the bar with my MBA in England. So when I came to Trinidad, the whole idea of doing my MBA wasn't completely foreign to me. So I was at a crossroads in 2015. And so I was like, okay, should I do the bar or should I do my MBA? And after much prayer, I decided to do my MBA. And that was the best decision I ever made because as soon as I graduated in 2018, the general manager at the time, working at the radio station, he resigned. And mommy decided to make me general manager. So she was the CEO at the time and she made me general manager. And that's when, my whole life changed.
Wow. Well, when you look at it, there was so much in that, Christianne, that you shared. That one, that sometimes you can have multiple talents and interests, right? So it's trying to find that one or the top two. And I love the fact that you said that you sought advice. So a lot of times, we know what we're pretty good at, and then we try to discover that. But that's where mentors and coaches come in, because they can help us work through that, right? They don't do the work for us. And I tell, when I'm coaching clients, like, I'm not doing the work for you.
Yeah.
I'm helping you really to discover, again, what's there and how can we hone that, shape that, develop that. The fact that the professor told you to go and work and find out if that's what you want to, right? Because sometimes you say, oh, I want to do this. And not knowing all of the things that are part of that, with the nuances of programming and timing and equipment and scheduling and all these things that you may not have known if you really wanted to. So I love that he said, go work. And the blessing, as you said, was that your mom was in the space and had it.
Yeah.
And then I think of, you're talking about, God and looking at plans, it talks about, we have a lot of plans in our lives of what we want to do, but God's plans always prevail.
Always.
And had you not had that experience, one, to determine if you want to do entertainment law, right? That's where you probably first saw what you were doing.
Yes.
But two, you didn't know that the manager was going to leave.
No.
And you wouldn't have had that experience. So sometimes in our lives, we walk out certain experiences not knowing what would be coming later.
Yes.
So business degree, law degree, entertainment, you are just a triple threat. A triple threat, Christianne. I tell you, that's wonderful. And then to have such a great legacy, with your dad and granddad, and certainly with your mom.
Yeah.
And, in our lives too, Christianne, it takes turns, there's detours, there's sometimes a little bit of delay of what we expect or wish or hoped. And then sometimes there is also unexpected things that happen that really thrust us into the purpose of where our path and destiny continues. And I know for you, I said I met your mother, just warm spirited, but she was about the business, Christianne. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
She was about the business. She was warm, but she's like, okay, yeah. So I know you lost your mother.
Yeah.
And, for some who may be watching, they've lost family, friends, people that were really close to us. When you and I met, that year was very traumatic, as Dr. Monroe and Pastor Ruth passed. Your mom and I served. You were also a part of the board, the trustee board there. But Christianne, talk to some persons who may be watching that say, how do you work through it? Do you get over it? Do you have to manage it? Do you cope? Like, what can I do? I really feel in a place of loss, of disappointment. Some people may feel angry, may feel bitter. How would you encourage one to move forward, to do something?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this was the first time I lost somebody so close to me. And I think every child dreads losing their mother, you know. So I mean, I was always close to my mom. In fact, she loved her children. So when I was abroad, in fact, when all of us were abroad, she would call us every weekend without fail. And so, you know, I really felt the love of my mom. And when I came home, I got even closer to her because my sister was living home as well. And then she migrated in 2016. So it was just me and my mom. My dad was there, of course, but, you know, there's that special bond you have with your mom. And then I was working in the company with her, and she basically mentored me, um, you know, from 2018 to 2021, you know, while I was general manager, and even going through COVID and surviving that, you know, it was really, really amazing, um, you know, testimony. And so I mean, she was unwell. She became unwell. I would say in 2020. She had heart surgery in 2017, but she recovered. But then, you know, she became unwell in 2020, and I did not expect her to pass away in 2021. So I would say that's one of the hardest things I've gone through in my life, and I'm still working through it. You know, one of the ways that helped me to cope is doing grief counseling. So I was sort of running from it, thinking, no, that's not for me. I'm fine. I can handle it. But you know, the mental stress um, that can come from grief, and it was not just mourning her loss, but dealing with the stress of having to carry her company because, you know, I have three siblings and they're all abroad, and so basically it was just me. Sometimes I felt alone because I always had her there to give me advice. So, you know, I mean, yes, I was a general manager, I was making decisions, but I always had her there to counsel me or as a soundboard. And, you know, and there was always this feeling of, okay, this is mommy's company. So, you know, she's really running things. Yeah, I'm doing the operations, but she's the one really in charge. So the buck stops with her. But, you know, with her gone, it was like, okay, the buck stops with me. So there was that pressure, and of course, I'm very young, so I mean, I think I'm young, right? I'm in my 30s. I became general manager when I was 29, so I was 32 when she passed, and you know, persons in the company had this love and respect for my mom. I mean, she built the company from nothing to this big media organization, well known, 30 years. This year I will make it 32. So she had the love and respect of all her staff members and partners. And so, you know, okay, how do I fill her shoes? How would people see me? Would they respect me or believe in me? Would they, um, follow me the way that they followed my mother? And so I sort of questioned, okay, is this for me? Is this really what I should be doing? Should I walk away and just breathe and, you know, really rethink if this is for me? Because yes, okay, God had me, you know, at working there and running the station, but I never saw myself as taking over from her, like, you know, being the one to continue her legacy. Um, and in fact, my sister, she, you know, worked with her from beginning, like when mommy just started um, the company, my sister was there up until 2016. So everyone thought that she would be the one to take over, you know, right away once mommy let go the reins. But she, you know, God moved her somewhere else. And who knows, she may come back at some point. But, you know, she doesn't plan to come back right now. So, you know, so there's that whole thing of, okay, is it really me? Or is it supposed to be her? And so there was that battle, you know, in terms of, okay, is this what I should be doing? Can I handle it? And then mourning her loss, the fact that she's gone. So I think I was in a state of shock for probably a couple of months. And I mean, I didn't go into depression, but I was down a lot. So I decided to seek counseling a year later, right? So she passed away in July 2021, and I sought counseling last year, 2022. Yeah, I would say maybe like November 2022. I decided to get counseling because the thing is, I witnessed her passing. So, I was there when she passed away. Um, so I saw everything. So, even the trauma of that, dealing with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so I think, coping is really, getting counseling, getting help, realizing that, you cannot do it on your own. Um, opening up to family and friends who can be there for you, and of course prayer. So I mean, my mom was a faith leader, Christian leader, and so my foundation is Christ and my faith, and I really saw God come through for me during that time. And even like with the company and holding things together. God sort of gave me that confidence. And the good thing is he trains you, right? So he prepares you for what is to come. So even me becoming the general manager was so crucial, because if I if I was not in that position and functioning like that for about 3 years, um, I would not have felt comfortable
yeah,
taking over from mommy.
yeah, yeah. No, and we're just, there's so many things that you said, and I want to unpack a few of them because they're very salient. One is that it's okay that you can't do it alone. When we lose someone, as you said, I can handle it. Our first reaction, she was like, we can handle it, like we can control, like this space. This is, we've got this, we can do this. I am woman, hear me roar. Or
Mm,
those who are watching could be, a man, yeah. But it's okay to
yeah.
say, I need help. There's been a lot of studies in exercises, where people say, help me. And the response is not as great because one, people sometimes don't know, how do I help, right? I may want to help you, but I don't know how. And I think the fact that you said, you know what, Christianne, it's okay to ask for help. And I'm going to go to counseling. I'm going to go to someone who can help me unpack, because there's a lot that happens.
Yeah.
First, she was your mom, right? Your first relationship, there's this personal relationship. She was your mom. Yes,
Yeah.
she was a faith leader. Yes, she was an entrepreneur. Yes, she was a media maven and icon. But those are very dimensions of who Lady Margaret Alcock was. And so you knew her in all those spaces. So your loss was in all those places. You worked with her in the community and there in Trinidad and Tobago. And I commend you for saying, I need help and I need someone to talk to. And realizing that you work through it. And I love the way you said you really cope, right? Because we're talking about it now. It's not an easy place to go back to some of the things that happened.
Yeah.
It's also a part of the work. And so it's continuous. And so we certainly keep you in our thoughts and prayers. And I'm glad that you and I stay connected.
Yes.
I remember when your mom, yeah, I was like, how's it going? Even when you were in the UK, because it's like, okay, I have your emails like in the
Yeah.
UK, now she's back in TT. I was like, yay.
Wow. I felt
and
so touched, that you
yeah,
remembered
and I
out of
think
all
that's
the many,
important. The
junior
village and
leaders.
yeah, yes, the village and the community
Yeah.
that's there for you and supporting you and commending you. You're doing amazing things there that are impacting not just Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, but also outside the Caribbean. With the way that things happen in media and the platforms. The fact that you said the company's 32, you were
Yeah.
32. I
Yeah.
love it.
Turning 32
I
in
know.
June. Can you imagine? Almost my
Yeah.
age. I'm 1 year older than the
One
company.
year older. And just the fact sometimes, again, going back to what you said, you didn't expect that when you started working for, coming back home to work for the station, that you were going to be actually working for the station. Both. And then secondly, continuing the legacy.
No, no.
Only God can know that, Christiane.
Yeah.
And so it leads to a trust that we have to have in him, of his entrusting and trust in us. One,
Mm.
that we are capable, we have the capacity, we have the character. In all three of these things, the character, competency, capacity, give us credibility in the work that we do. That
Mm.
God has given us all of that. He has blessed us, He has enabled us, He has empowered us. That you, Christianne Elcock, have the medal for this moment and what is to come. And the legacy that you continue to carry, of your mom, of your family, even your own,
Yeah.
right? You talk about your mom's shoes. We say we stand on these shoulders, they lift us up, but it's also a part of your legacy that you're creating as well. And, it's not easy, I'm sure, being a woman in the creative space, what your mom had to blaze through. Share with us a little bit what you do know about being a woman in the entertainment, the media space. What is that like, and how? What things have you observed,
Mm.
and what things have you utilized to kind of push forward through that?
Hmm. That's a very good question. Um, I mean, a lot has happened over the years where women have progressed, but there's still a lot more to be done. And my mom actually, she was she was the first and only female owner of a radio station in Trinidad and Tobago. Up to this day, I don't think there are any other female owners. But I would say there's one other, but her father is the one who started the radio station. I think they have a couple of radio stations, and his daughters have taken over. But he's still alive, so he's, I guess, still seen as the owner. So my mom was actually a trailblazer in terms of female empowerment, because she's known as the only first and only female media owner in Trinidad and Tobago, and so she's passed that legacy on to me. So in a way, I guess I'm like the only female, owner of operating a station in Trinidad right now. And funny, I don't really think about it much. So now that you brought it up, it sort of reminded me, and I noticed it like, well, you would have read in my bio that I'm the vice president of the Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association, right? TTPBA. So, that's a very prominent association in Trinidad and Tobago. They basically represent media owners, right? And they lobby for media interests in government and other spaces. So I am one of two female members on the board, and in fact, I ended up on the board because the female member, she pushed for me to be there. So she, and I know she's all about female empowerment, and one of her radio stations was focused on females and women, right? It was a station for women. And she met me when I became general manager. She came to see me, and we just hit it off. We clicked, and ever since then, she has just been pushing for me. Just to be more involved in the media space at a certain level. And so I want to thank her. I don't know if I should say her name. I
Feel
don't
free,
know. Kiran Miraj.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. So you have to make sure she watches this so she can hear.
yeah, yes. I
I love that, Christian, because that goes into something else, right? You can have mentors, you can have coaches, but having people who, we use the term, really kind of sponsor you, right? That say your name in rooms where you may not be.
Yes,
Say, hey, have you considered? And I think that's beautiful. It's supportive. It shows this community of
yes,
women. But I also believe that she would not have suggested you if she didn't think that you had the character, the
yeah.
competency, or the capacity for the job. So congratulations. I'm sure that you're doing a great job and will continue to as you serve and look out. I love this. This is, some people say it's paying it forward. I like to say it's carrying it forward. It's CARING, caring forward.
Yeah. Wow.
Because, when you understand the role, like you said, in your mom, I mean, I'm just thinking back here, you're in law school. Now you're the vice president of an association for the entire nation that deals specifically in media and the entertainment
Yeah.
and things like that. Could you, who would have thunk it? Who would have thought it,
That
right?
was crazy. Like how that.
Yeah. And
I
this
was
is
like, what?
definitely like Ephesians 3:20. Christianne is like, God does exceeding
Yeah.
abundantly above
Amen.
what
Yeah.
we could ask or imagine,
Yeah.
according to the power that works in us. And as you said earlier, that he's been your anchor through this, your faith has been your pistos, it has been your rock.
Yes.
And even in the disappointment times, even in the joyous times, we still have to hold on to this anchor of our faith that helps us go to the next, go to the next, go to the next.
Yeah.
And I also love this picture, the picture in Psalms when it says that he wraps his arms around us. It's a
Mm.
strong tower that we can run into, and
Yeah.
we're safe in those moments when we don't feel safe. It is the first. We are the first. People are looking at us. Will she be like her mom? What is she going to do? All these people that are around you that you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
always know if they're with you, right? People think, well, people around me doesn't mean they're always with you. And
No,
so that's
not.
what I believe is the power of the Holy Spirit too, right?
Yeah.
To help us discern who's really with us, not just around us, so taking us into that next dimension of understanding who are the people in one of our business books, talks about this on your bus. Collins says from good to great, like who is on the bus going the same direction, connected to the vision, connection to the mission, and says, how can I help? I'm here. What contribution can I make?
Yeah.
And it's very powerful. It's very powerful. Christiane, with all of that said, what does exceptional living mean to you? How does one live an exceptional life?
Hmm. I would say living in purpose. Um, finding, what were you created to do? What were you born to do? I know Miles Monroe talked a lot about that. Purpose living, and my mom as well. And I know she was mentored by him. And I found this article that was written about her after she passed. I found this article, and she always spoke about living in purpose, and so that kind of hit me. And the only way to live in purpose is really to go to the one who created you for that purpose. And so you spoke about God being that anchor. He is the one that has directed my life, and so I didn't get to where I am now by myself, or by me just trying to form this exceptional life for myself, where I'm famous or I'm this great person, but really just seeking God, seeking your creator, and letting him direct your path. Even the choice of my university. I'll give a quick testimony. I had applied to a few universities, and I got into two, right? Kent and Nottingham. And Nottingham was actually higher on the ranks in England. And my whole family wanted me to go there. But I got this dream, where I felt like the Lord was saying, Kent is where you need to go. And that was tough, because it was, you had to sort of go against what your whole family was telling you. And remember, I'm the youngest in my family, so everybody is like telling me what to do. You're too young, you don't know what you're doing, and so your family is the one who, your older siblings are the ones who will sort of give you advice, and they expect you to take their advice. But the one who really has to direct your path is God, and so it's so important to develop that personal relationship with him, so that you know even when people are telling you something else or something different, or even when it seems as if what you want to do, what God is leading you to do, is crazy or illogical, because you have that foundation, that relationship with him, where you know he's spoken to you, you know he's guiding you, you know he's leading you, that you can stand against anybody who may try to derail you. And what God did is he had some professors from Kent come down to Trinidad, right, to do an open session, and I found out about the open session by accident. Oh, I guess it was Providence, right? So I don't usually read the newspaper. I was 18, whatever, and I saw a newspaper, so I just picked it up one day, and I saw this ad for Kent University, you know, open for students interested, and I was like, what? And so I told mommy about it, and we went. And I actually met one of my, you know, lecturers who would eventually lecture me. And I told him about my dilemma, and he was like, yes, Nottingham is higher on the ranks, but, you know, Kent Law School is actually really, really good. And, you know, it's a lot better. Now, I was thinking he would just say that because he's a teacher at Kent. But it sort of resonated with what I was feeling already. And then my mom did something that was so lovely. So she knew I had this dilemma, and she herself was like, you know, she didn't know what I should do, because everybody else was saying go to Nottingham. And so one day she came to me and she said, listen, I'm going to send you to England, and you're going to visit the two schools, and hopefully by then you'll make up your mind. So yeah, so she paid for me. I got a break from my job. I was working at the time, and I went to visit the two schools, and I went to Nottingham. It was great. It was nice. But then when I went to Kent, the first person to greeted me was one of my former classmates from high school, right? So I arrive at the bus stop, and when the bus comes in front of me, I see this old friend of mine. She's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? So I was like, what? This is crazy. And she's like, and she was actually studying at Kent. And so she was like, well, come, I'll show you around. And so that whole experience of meeting her there to me was like another confirmation. And even visiting the school, like I just felt like, yes, this is where I could see myself. And the thing is, my sister was with me. She lived in England, and you know, she was pounding Nottingham. And I don't blame her, because I mean, the logical thing would be to go to the school that's higher on the ranks. So you know, that whole experience, you know, trusting God even when it seems illogical, even when your whole family is telling you else otherwise. And I really respect my mom, because when I came home, she said, you know, whatever you decide, I'm gonna go with it. You know, if you believe God is telling you to do this, I trust your relationship with God. So I always remember that. And that was the best decision I ever made. I mean, going to Canada, I was able to do a, what do you call it, study abroad in Canada, right? So I did law with French, right? Nottingham didn't offer me that, so I got to do law with French. French as a minor. And when I got there in my second year, they said, oh, guess what? We have this exchange program. And you can go to Canada for a year, Montreal, the French part.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went to Université de Montréal, and I did French. Learned French, and you know, that was a whole crazy experience. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, I think that helped me to, you know, be a more diverse person.
Absolutely.
Than if I just did straight law in Nottingham without that experience. And,
okay, so that point right there, Christianne, we didn't hear earlier. So now we see, you know, bilingual opportunity, but just the fact that there's so much.
Right.
One is, you know, everybody was saying go this way.
Yeah.
And sometimes God prompts us a different way according to purpose, right? He knows. And so we get this peace. Because I feel like, and tell me if you've experienced this as well. When you make a decision, there should be a peace. There might be a little bit of nervousness, right? You're going to leave home. You're going to Cannes. It's a little, you know, it's not Nottingham, but it is, you know, great school. So I'm not talking about the butterflies that kind of come, you know, if you're going to do a speech or something that's new and like adventurous, but just this piece of knowing, you know what, I made the right decision. And the fact that your mom knew that your relationship with God, and that if you prayed about it and you felt peace about it, that will work out, because I think that's really, what parents, guardians, people who are with us
Yeah.
want the best for us. And the fact that you chose Kent, you see a former classmate, right? You're like, okay, maybe I did, because honestly, you're like, okay, I think so, but let's see. Okay, God, yep, check one, box check one, right? Tick one. Then they have this program for you to continue practicing, French.
Yes.
And on top of that, it's abroad. So your scope and expansion of the world and other people and cultures
Yeah.
still within law, you chose well. You chose well. And
Yeah. 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 That
it's
was,
not always easy. Like you said, you're kind of going against maybe what people suggest, or the grain, as we say, going against the grain or against the current.
yeah.
But we are certainly all the better for it. And wow, finding your purpose, staying connected to the manufacturer who created you, which is God,
Yes.
trusting God in the process, trusting God through the process, and trusting God to where his expected end for our lives is, right? Not our end as in transition from this life solely, but our end in where he places us to
Mm-hmm.
have influence. And,
Yes.
certainly you're talking about Dr. Monroe, and I remember him bringing your mom to the podium at that particular summit and celebrating her and honoring her for her work. Certainly as a mother in the business space that she was in, but also part of the organization and just what she'd done for so many women and families, uh, for her service, in Itwila. And that is also commendable as well. So looking at that, Christiane, I would ask you, what would the woman that you are today say to the girl that you were? What would this 30-something Christiane say
Yeah.
to 16-year-old Christiane, to 18-year-old Christiane? What would she say?
Hmm. And that's a very interesting question. I was thinking about, yeah, that. Well, I would say enjoy each stage of your life, right? Because when you're younger, you're sort of eager to get older, eager to grow up and reach to that dream job or career. I know my family was very much into education and career oriented. Um, but yes, I would say enjoy every stage of your life, because as life passes, it to me it becomes harder. I mean, yes, you have some great moments, but your responsibilities increase. The reality of life becomes a little more real to you. So I would say just enjoy your youth. Maybe be more adventurous. Do more things that make you happy. So I would definitely tell my my younger self that. But I mean, thank God that I had that relationship with him. So for some reason, I never really strayed too much. So I grew up in church and all that, and I wasn't serious with God until maybe around 16, 17, 18, right? I started to get serious, and I think that has really helped me to stay on course. Yeah, and especially when I was at university, I joined the church, and so I didn't really stray too much. But I think I could have been a little more, free, enjoy life a bit. I mean, I did travel, but I could have traveled more and be more adventurous. I'm still young; I could still do that, but I have more responsibilities now.
Mhm, right.
So I think, yeah, I would definitely tell my younger self, enjoy that time in your life.
Yeah.
More free, more carefree. Yeah.
Yeah. But he said I could have traveled more. I'm thinking, here's a young woman in the Caribbean. It's a big country like the United Kingdom, who then goes to an even larger place in Canada,
But yeah.
and with different language. I think,
Yeah.
Christiane, you've done well. You've done well. I know there's more to come. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I certainly see you traveling,
Yeah.
and sharing, your story, and also sharing what you know in the work that you do in your path, and just really inspiring others, men and women, but especially women, who may say, well, I'm in this small town, Christianne, everybody around me does this, and I feel like I'm small in a small town, but somehow I feel that I'm called to do bigger things, that I see in my vision board, I see in my dreams. I just imagine doing something bigger than the island I may be on, or again, in the small town that I may live in. And certainly, Dr. Monroe's testimony, your mom's, is evident of that. Your life is evident of that. Any closing thoughts for us today that are just on your heart? Enjoy our lives while we're young. Take advantage of the good things. Be happy, right?
Yeah.
You're right. When we're young, we want to be adults. You're adults. You're like, my best days are when I was a
I know.
child. It just kind of reverses back. It's so interesting. But I love that you said that. Enjoy the stage of life that you're in. Keep connected to God.
Yes.
Trust
Yeah.
him. He'll show you, he'll lead you, he'll guide you into good things, into a beautiful, expected, prosperous place.
Yes. Yeah.
Spirit, soul,
Hmm.
and body.
Yeah.
But if there's anything that you'd like to share with us.
I mean, you just wrapped it up so nice, Caroline.
Ah,
I mean, I don't know how I can add to that. But yeah, definitely, live in purpose.
yeah.
And if it is that you feel as if, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with my life, I'm not sure where I should go, connect to God. At the end of the day, He's your source. He's your hope. He's your joy. He's your peace. And once you're walking in your purpose and your calling, yes, you'll have adversity. Things may not always go the way you expected, but there'll be that, as you said, inner peace, that inner knowing that, you know what, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I have a purpose. God has a plan for me, and He's going to work out everything for our good to those that love Him. And he's not a God that wants bad things for you. He's not a God that wants to punish you or condemn you. But He loves us. He created us, so that we can be in a relationship with Him, and also that we can impact um, those around us, impact our friends, our families, our communities. And our plans for ourselves can never compare to what He has in store for us. So I would have never envisioned being a CEO of a radio station or vice president of the TTPBA. Plus, being able to express my musical talents. I had this small vision. I want to be a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer, working in some company and travel from time to time. But when you look at that compared to what I'm doing now, I think God's plan is much better. And
There is no
what is to
comparison.
come.
There is not. Christiane, thank you so much. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your authenticity, for your candor, for opening your story, your journey with us, for sharing it, for sharing your gift with us, for sharing your gift and serving it to the world, for not trying to be in the shoes of another, but to continue to walk a path that also diverges into your own legacy while protecting, honoring, and celebrating the legacy of those who have helped you to find your path.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your heart and your spirit with us, sharing your faith with us, the faith that grounds us, that grounds us not to keep us down, but grounds us as an anchor that in life comes to pull us in different directions. We have this center, this true north. Thank you for the work that you're doing in TT. We know this work is going to grow.
Yes.
We thank you for your family that has supported you, that has encouraged you, for all the mentors, the coaches, the sponsors, those people who say your name positively in rooms, for open doors, for access, for tables that you're invited to, but also for the tables that you will create for others. We say thank you. And we send prayers and blessings your way there in Trinidad and Tobago. And thank you again for being our very special guest. We celebrate and honor you and your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful platform, giving me exposure to bless and impact others. And I just pray that you'll continue to grow and encourage others as you do what you're called to do.
Thank you. Thank you. I tell you, Exceptional Living, I told you, our special guest today, none other than Christianne Elcock, is doing a phenomenal work there in Trinidad and Tobago. But stay tuned, pun intended, because I'm sure that you will hear more about her in the years to come. So again, I want to thank you for tuning in today. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we remind you that you were created to live an exceptional life, unique by design. God bless you, and thank you for watching.